To all North Pole City Elves, those in Santa's Village, in the lower 48, and all around the world, this is your weekly update. I am your host, Walter Mistletoe Livingstone. Let's go to press. For the week of May 9th, 2022, your sponsor will be Bill's Game Palace. Need a board game or some equipment for one of North Pole City sports? Bill's is your one-stop shop for all your recreational needs. Update from Santa's Village. We received updated production reports from Santa's workshop and warehouses stating that production is now 3 weeks ahead of schedule. Santa would like to meet with all the supervisors this week to go over the numbers again to make sure that accounts are accurate. I'm amazed how much ahead we got after the problems we had right before spring break, said Latimer Snurd, workshop supervisor. If we continue this rate, we will definitely have more than what is needed and will be able to fill our reserves back up again in no time. Edward Hinklemeyer has asked the Department of Forestry to cut harvesting in half this week so that production at the wrapping paper factory can be decreased due to the abundance of wrapping paper in the warehouse. Elves who wish to pick up additional temporary shifts in other departments can stop into the Office of Elf Affairs to pick up their temporary assignments. The division of WWWPR has officially released the webpage of Mother Nature this past weekend. You can now connect to her page to get some resources. More information should be posted soon. Mother Nature will be coming back to the North Pole sometime this week for a little bit in order to work with the department on the webpage. North Pole City weather update. Temperatures may reach the mid-40s this week, but expect some snow on Monday with a mixture of rain and snow on Thursday. WELF NPC North Pole City Radio is currently accepting proposals for new shows on the radio station. If there are any elves in North Pole City or from anywhere that would like to have their own show, now is the time to submit your proposal. The station is looking to expand with more shows, and there are a few time slots available. For this week in Elf History, I'm going to turn it over to our investigative reporter, Becky Marshmallow Livingstone. Take it away, Becky.
Thanks, Walter. Well, this week we're going to be talking about the Transcontinental Railroad and its completion in 1869. It was on May 10th of 1869, the presidents of the Union Pacific and Central Pacific Railroads met in Promontory, Utah, and drove a ceremonial last spike into the rail line that connects their railroads. This made transcontinental railroad travel possible for the first time in U.S. history. No longer would western-bound travelers need to take the long and dangerous journey by wagon train. 1 year into the Civil War, a Republican-controlled Congress passed the Pacific Railroad Act in 1862, guaranteeing public land grants and loans to the two railroads it chose to build the Transcontinental Line, the Union Pacific and Central Pacific. With these in hand, the railroads began work in 1866 from Omaha and Sacramento, forging a northern route across the country. In their eagerness for land, the two lines built right past each other, and the final meeting place had to be renegotiated. Harsh winters, stifling summer heat, and the lawless, rough-and-tumble conditions of the newly settled western towns made conditions for the Union Pacific laborers, mainly Civil War veterans of Irish descent, quite miserable. The overwhelmingly immigrant Chinese workforce of the Central Pacific also had its fair share of problems, including brutal 12-hour workdays, laying tracks over the Sierra Nevada mountains. On more than one occasion, whole crews would be lost to avalanches or mishaps with explosives that would leave several dead. For all the adversity they suffered, the Union Pacific and Central Pacific workers were able to finish the railroad, laying nearly 2,000 miles of track by 1869. ahead of schedule and under budget. Journeys that had taken months by wagon train or weeks by boat would now only take days. The completion ceremony was originally scheduled for May 8th of 1869, but it was postponed 2 days because of bad weather and labor disputes that delayed the arrival of the Union Pacific side of the rail line. Nonetheless, on May 10th of 1869, the Union Pacific number 119 and the Central Pacific number 60 locomotives were drawn face-to-face on Promontory Summit for the ceremonial driving of the last spike and photographs. The last spike for the line was golden. It was made out of 17.6 karat copper alloyed gold and weighed 14.03 troy ounces. It was a gift from San Francisco financier David Hughes and was driven in by Leland Sanford. The spike was engraved on all 4 sides. 2 of the sides were engraved with the names of the railroad officers and directors. The 3rd side was engraved with the Pacific Railroad Ground, broken January 8, 1863, and completed May 8, 1869, which was the original proposed date for the completion and the ceremony. They never went back and changed it, you know that? Anyways, the final side was engraved with, "May God continue the unity of our country as this railroad unites the 2 great oceans of the world." Presented by David Hughes, San Francisco. A special railroad tie of polished California laurel was chosen to complete the line where the spike would be driven, and immediately after the final golden spike was hammered in, the golden spike and the laurel tie were removed, lest they be stolen, of course, and they were replaced with a regular iron spike and a normal tie. At exactly 12:47 p.m., the last iron spike was driven, finally completing the line. After the ceremony, the golden spike was donated to the Stanford Museum, now Cantor Arts Center, in 1898, where it can still be viewed today. The last laurel tie was unfortunately destroyed in the fires caused by the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. Isn't that a sad state of affairs, Walter?
Yes, it is.
Back to you.
Well, thank you very much, Becky. Very informative. The North Pole City Commerce Association reported a sizable turnout for the Mother's Day brunch at the North Pole City Hotel. They have also reported that several of the North Pole City business owners are interested in having a summer picnic this year out at Polar Bear Lake. Plans have begun for this event. The North Pole City Council put out a statement that the street and sidewalk project is just over halfway completed. Again, crews have been working ahead of schedule and will be taking the next couple of weeks off to allow the brick factory to get caught up on production. The North Pole City Sports League will be meeting this week to discuss any changes that may be made to this year's reindeer games. As you know, the reindeer games will begin the first week in July, and the league wants to have everything ready next month for the season. The North Pole City Library will be hosting a Scrabble in the Yard event this Friday in City Center for anyone who wants to come out and test your Scrabble skills. This event started some years ago and is a great way to get out and stretch your muscles and your mind at the same time. Several local businesses will be present with food and beverages throughout the park. WELF NPC would like to wish a very happy 460th birthday to our very own Becky Marshmallow Livingstone. Becky started out her career as an investigative reporter for the Peppermint Post newspaper, did some work for the Commerce Association as their secretary, and now is with us each week right here on our news broadcast. After we're done here, we have a few surprises for Becky right here in the studio.
What surprises? I like surprises.
Becky, we wish you many more happy years.
I can't wait to see what the surprises are, Walter.
This is Walter Mistletoe Livingstone with the reminder, coming together is the beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. Have a good evening and be sure to tune in next week for another WELF NPC North Pole Radio News Update.